Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Welcome back, dear students. We had our writing lesson the last time. I hope you had an enjoyable essay to write, which is a friendly essay because it was about our friends. So moving to what we did in our last lesson, which was the writing lesson, we had first of all the maternal grandparents, which is the essay that is ready in the book. We were instructed to use the Venn diagram and to write the different characteristics that we have about each personality that we have, and also in the middle the things that join them together, or we can say that we want to focus on the symbiotic relationship, going back to the unit's topic, which is teamwork. Now, I also wrote my own Venn diagram, which was about my friends, Hiba and May. We wrote a descriptive essay together. I explained to you the different parts and the points that we have to write and also include in our essay. We had the checklist, which are all the notes that are mentioned in the book as well. Now, since I am talking about my friends, May and Hiba, there were different characteristics and things that I mentioned. Now, I have this part here, but this time I want you to focus with me on something different. I want you to focus on verbs that I wrote within the paragraph. So you can just scan quickly and see what are the verbs that I wrote here in this part. You can see from the beginning. So let's just go one by one. We have here the verb love. We have a lot of precious moments. I spend a lot of time. She always listens and gives advice. Loves, so you can see that I love and she loves. We have here the two words, discovering and trying, and here note that I underlined them, not a green circle like the rest. No, there is just a line here, and I'm going to go back. Why did I just underline them? But you can guess the reason. We have here make, also as a verb. She can make, so we have here modal with make. I don't feel, you can see that I use don't negative with the verb feel. She does get, now does here, it reminds us of what we took in our grammar lesson, which is the emphatic do. You can see that we have here does and get as the base verb. She can be noisy as well. We have here need, and we have here teasing, now discovering, trying, teasing, put these verbs in mind. And we have here also starts. Now all of these are verbs. We know just underlined here and highlighted what are the verbs mentioned here, and I underlined what seems to be a verb here. Here you can say, I say here she goes again. So note that I have here she goes again. What is here in the sentence? Now this is what we're going to take in our lesson, which is the form, meaning, and function lesson. We are moving on from the writing. Now we have passed by all these different lessons within our unit. We have reached the form, meaning, and function lesson. So as we mentioned that we are going to focus on the verbs. I have the same verbs that we read together, but they are in different columns here. You can see that we have here the main verb. It can be a verb plus S. We're going to see when. And we have here helping verbs are also used, or I wrote them also in our paragraphs. So we have here, there are three different parts. Now you can see that all of these verbs, they are in the present simple. We have the main verb, it is in the present simple. When I add S to the verb, it also means the present simple. And we have here the helping. So here, I'm going to just go back to here, go, I go, or here, she goes again. Here they go again. We have here, here is used with the present simple, as you can see. Now, we are going to also highlight other types. You can see with me. May is gentle and caring. Do you think caring here is a verb? When I say that May is gentle and caring. So we are included to what we underlined before. She is always telling me about workshops. We can say that she is telling me now about workshops, or she is always telling me. Also here we have, I'm going to look for more verbs. I have, I am writing. Hiba is telling. I am going with her. We are planning now. So what's the difference between the first group that I mentioned, which is the present simple? I have here different verbs. You can see that we have all of these verbs. What do they have in common? Just look here with me to the verbs. We can see that they all have ing, and they are, or they have before them what? They are, first of all, there is a helping verb, and then there is, yes, the main verb, which is with the ing part. So all of these verbs are what we call, yes, the present progressive. So what is the present progressive? I gave you a chance just to recall here. The present progressive means that we are going to use helping verbs, and specifically verb to be, and then it is followed by a main verb which is attached to an ing. Now, we can say also always telling, as I mentioned before, that we have here she goes. Now, I am always. You can see that there are these words that we are going to talk about in the next few parts. Now, going back to the words that I underlined in the black line, we said May is gentle and caring. Also, Hiba loves discovering and trying. What does she like to do? She loves discovering and trying new things. And we have here, Hiba starts teasing. Now we have here, she starts. What does she start to do? She starts teasing. Now, do you think that these verbs, they have an ing, yes, form, but are they considered as verbs or not? So this is just a point to know that we are talking about verbs that have before them helping verbs, and they are considered present progressive, or we have here what seems to be a verb, which is what we called a gerund. So we are going to focus on the two structures. We have the present simple and the present progressive. Our objectives of the lesson are to identify the two grammar patterns, the present simple and the present progressive, and their uses. Distinguish stative verbs and apply them to sentences. Apply the present simple and the present progressive in sentences using exclamations and adverbs. So when we said that I have here or always, what are these words? We call them exclamations or adverbs. Now we're going to go back to them. Such as continually and constantly. We have number 4 to enumerate words connected with museums and galleries. And we have number 5 to differentiate between gradable and non-gradable adjectives and express enthusiasm alongside. So as you can see that we have interesting things to work on. Now I'm going to go back to the present simple. What is the present simple? Now we have the structure is actually not a new structure here, but just to remind ourselves what is the present simple. Now we can say that the present simple is used to say that some things happen all the time as habits, routines, or repeatedly, or that something is true in general. So when you are talking about a fact, you use the present simple. If you are talking about something that happens all the time, when you have something that happened in the past, is happening now, and also happens in the future, like daily routines, for example, like we have, for example, like praying. Now we pray 5 times a day. Is it something that is concluded one time or in a specific time? No. It is something that happens all the time. So we have here the present simple as a structure. Now we have the table is divided between singular and plural. I started with the singular. You can see that we have the pronouns he, she, or it can be a name. As for plurals, we use I, you, we, and they. We're going to see the difference. What is the difference? We have the present simple, but I'm going to just differentiate between the singular and the plural. If it is singular, we use the helping verb does, and if it is plural, we have do. And we use both of these helping verbs if we are forming negative sentences or questions. We add an S to the verb if it is singular, and we just have the base form or the affirmative if it is plural form. And at the very end, we use exclamations. Now, what are exclamations? We can say that, for example, we have here or there. Both of these words are exclamations. They are used with the present simple. Moving on to the present progressive, which is actually a familiar structure that we use all the time. We use it to say that something is occurring now. I am giving you the lesson. You are listening to me. Or a temporary situation. I am teaching English this semester. Or we can say, of course we have here, it is something that is happening at the current time. We can have here the pronouns as we discussed before, singular and plural. We have here is a verb to be used with the singular. Are is used with the plural. But if you can notice that there is one pronoun which is missing. We have here I is always with I am in the present progressive. Of course, we use them in affirmative sentences, in negatives, and also in questions. Both of the verbs have ing with them. And here, just to add, that we can use also the present progressive in changing or developing situations. Like what? We can say, for example, Riyadh is getting bigger and bigger. So I am saying that Riyadh is getting bigger. Is getting. We have the present progressive. Is it something that is just happening? No. No, it is something developing and also changing. To note something as well, that we can use the adverbs. Now, the adverbs that we have here, like for example, always, continually, and constantly, they can be used with the present progressive. I can say, for example, she is always talking in class. Or you are continually using your phone. So we have here, you can say that we use the adverbs with the present progressive, just to show some kind of emphasis. So we have the two structures, the present simple and the present progressive. Now I have another part, and I'm going to see what is the relation between what we have here and the two forms that we studied. I have here stative and non-stative verbs. Now just to note the pictures that you can see in front of you. You can see that something is attached to the mind. Now we have some verbs that are connected to how you think or mental. So we can say, for example, like remember, forget. We have here remind, let's say wish. All of these are verbs that you cannot see in front of you. We have also senses like hear, feel, see. Now here, these verbs also are not verbs that you can see. And we have also different feelings. When I feel that I am angry or worried or let's say excited about something. Now also these are adjectives that cannot be transformed or they cannot be seen verbs. So which means that we have here stative and non-stative verbs. Now I'm going to just move on and see what is the connection. Here we have some examples. I have here belief, which is something that is associated to the mind. want, and we have smell. Now, it is correct to say she believed him, but I cannot say she was believing him. I can say I want a new car, but I cannot say I am wanting a new car. I can also say the rose smells sweet, but I cannot say the rose is smelling sweet. So what did you notice? We have the two structures. We have the present simple and the present progressive, but one may be used, but the other is incorrect. Also, in another example here, so since we are talking about teamwork, in the present simple, I think teamwork is important. Do you notice, is there anything wrong with this sentence? And the second one, I'm thinking that teamwork is important. Which one of these sentences do you think is correct? So you can notice that the sentence that has the present simple, like the examples that I just showed you, we have here the present simple. It may be used with the dative and non-dative verbs here. But as a note, some of them can sometimes be dynamic or action verbs and go in the present continuous. How is that? I can give an example and say that I'm thinking about joining the team. If I have a sentence like this one, I am thinking, you can see that I used an abstract verb with a present progressive because I turned it into an action or dynamic verb. So since I'm talking about the present progressive, I'm thinking about joining the team. Let's just see this different team here. Now you can see that these people, they are working in old objects. So actually we have here archaeological scientists. Now what is the relation? I am talking about teamwork. So I'm going to just move on a little bit in my lesson and connect between teamwork, between archaeology and my two friends that we discussed or talked about before. So before I go back to my friends, we have here the two words. Just read the words with me. We have the word museums or museum, singular. We have also the word galleries or gallery. Now what is the difference? Just think about the difference between a museum and also a gallery. You can say that they are the same, but actually there is a difference between them. So I'm going to go back to my two friends, May and Hiba. What did I say about them? I mentioned that we have here, I want some words that show meaning and are connected to what I just talked about. We have here, Hiba is planning to visit a museum next week. Hiba finds archaeological museums extremely interesting. She is fascinated by science, unlike May, who prefers very old antiques and jewelry. So we have here these words. Now all of these words, they are connected to museums, to galleries. Now we're going to talk about this a little bit more in our lesson. You can see in your book that we have here 3 parts in a table. We have here archaeological, we have technological, and national. So going back to the title here, some words we commonly associate with different types of museums and galleries are, we have here 3 parts. Now the 3 parts, archaeological, there are some words that are connected to the idea about archaeology. So what are the words that we have here? History, culture, exhibitions, ruins, jewelry, pottery, and antiques. Then we have the second part, technological galleries or museums. Now there are also lots of items that are connected to these types of museums or galleries. Now we can say that scientific documentaries are items that are found in technological galleries or museums. Science in general is connected to it. Space, seminars, educational books, robots, and 3D digital cinema showing. We come to the last kind, which is national museums or galleries. Now, what are the words that are connected to them? We have here interactive displays, manuscripts, documents, antiques, informative exhibits, state-of-the-art. Now, all of these are words that are connected to national museums or national galleries. So we have here, these are 3 different types. We can see that there are words that are connected, which are interesting to know. And to the back to my friends who are Hiba and May again, we are going to just go back to the same paragraph here, but I'm going to focus on something different this time. Now, what do we focus on? If you can see that this time I want you to focus on something that is function in the sentences. How is that? Now, note that we first concentrated or focused on verbs, present simple, present progressive. We went to stative and non-stative verbs, and then we connected or just moved on to different museums or galleries. Now we come to the last part with May and Hiba here. I want something that shows function in the sentence. What are they? Now, if you can just see with me here, I said that Hiba finds archaeological museums extremely interesting. Not just interesting, extremely interesting. So I am emphasizing here. We have also, she gets absolutely fascinated by history. Unlike May, who prefers very old antiques and jewelry, galleries which she finds quite amazing. So how many adjectives do you have here? Now, when you just count here, you can see that the ones that I underlined with the purple color are adjectives. We have here interesting, fascinated, old, amazing. I described using these adjectives. But the other words that I underlined with the pink color, they emphasize, they are intensifiers here. They give more meaning or stronger meaning. So when I say that something is small, it is different from saying that it is tiny. I can say that there are different intensifiers to use with different adjectives. So we have here extremely, absolutely, very, and quite. They are intensifiers, which we are going to discuss in our next part, which is expressing enthusiasm with intensifiers and adjectives. Now, we use intensifiers to express our enthusiasm with something. We have 2 kinds of adjectives. So as I mentioned, we have something small and tiny. Now, the first thing to know that some of them, they are gradable. We're going to see what is the meaning of gradable or non-gradable. We have 3 parts. We have the measurement, examples, and intensifiers that we can use. So coming to the first part, the gradable here. Now, gradable, what does it mean? It can be measured in degrees such as size, age, and quality. Now, when I say how old are you, and you tell me 17 or 19 or 18, you give me a specific age. So which means that this is gradable. I can say how heavy is the book, how tall is the building, which means that it is gradable. Examples, we have different adjectives such as expensive, old, beautiful, important, good, interesting, frightening, small, and big. Now you can see that these are regular adjectives. We are used to using every day, and we can use different intensifiers with them, like very, really, or extremely. I can say very small, or really beautiful, or extremely important. On the other hand, you now may understand what is the meaning about non-gradable. So non-gradable here means that it cannot be measured. We cannot measure something. For example, we have the adjectives priceless, ancient, stunning, crucial, amazing, fascinating, terrifying, tiny, and massive. Now you may notice that these are the stronger version of the first group of adjectives, but this time we cannot give them a specific measurement. Now there are different intensifiers we can use. Actually, you can say that we have here really can be used with both types, but we have here absolutely and quite. So I can say that she looks absolutely stunning, but I cannot say absolutely beautiful. I must say very beautiful or extremely beautiful. I can say that the object is quite massive, but I cannot say quite big. I can say very big, and so on. So now you know that we have here different adjectives. Some are gradable, some are non-gradable, and we use different intensifiers with each type. Now note that the intensifier really can be used with both gradable and non-gradable adjectives, as I mentioned before. You do have your homework. The homework are going to be the exercises on page number 16 and page number 17. Now we are going to just pass by them and see what we have here in the homework. We have here the first part, page 16, to read the telephone conversation between Badr and his brother Fahad. Complete the conversation with the correct form of the word and the parenthesis. Use the simple present or present progressive. So I'm going to give you this as homework to take your time and just check your answers with me next time, inshallah. We have the second exercise, which is on page number 17. Look at the information about the National Museum of Saudi Arabia. Write sentences using the prompts. Use the present simple tense. And you have examples. And of course, there are details to use in your examples. Now, what did we do in our lesson today? We have the form, meaning, and function. So we have the present simple, the present progressive, and stative verbs. As meaning, we discussed words connected with museums and galleries. And as function, we have expressing enthusiasm with intensifiers and adjectives. It was an interesting lesson. There were lots of details, but they are some things that we use every day. They are very simple. You have your homework, and I'll see you soon, inshallah.